Today, I just want to share a bit about my faith journey, about in the past and the currently, and my vision for the future. So, I got baptized like about more than 10 years ago. It's kind of like funny for me if I'm now looking back at my my relationship with God, because that time I was still in China, and I was in college. Um, Almost none of my classmates, they were Christian and they never heard of God. Uh, Neither do I. So I was born in an atheist, family, and most of my friends before college, they were non-Christians. Um, but yeah, there was one guy in my class. He is a very faithful Christian, and he is also he is also a Chinese. But for some reason, at that time, I was emotionally, in a very low point, and I was lack of friend, and we met in a dining room, and he just reached out to me and said, "Okay, well, I saw you like living across the across the hallway, so." Yeah, so why not catch up and get to know each other? So yeah, that's a starting point of my faith journey. And yeah, after several times, going to the fellowship with him, I kind of realized, people from the church, they are quite different from the people I know before. They are all like college students at that time. I didn't even know that there are so many Christians in my college. Um, yeah, and after several few months, I start going to the church with him, and yeah, and maybe a few months later, I decided to get baptized, because like the people I know, they're extremely different from my standpoint of view of what people should treat people, and you know um, it's just opening my eyes for a very different world. Um, I got baptized. It's similar to here. Like we have a bathtub, and I jump into it, and the pastor, pray. Put his hand on my head, and everything. Yeah. So at that time, I was very. I had a very strong faith for a while. I remember that, and I even preached gospel to my mom. But things were not going as good as I expect, because after maybe a few months after that, I graduated and I came to the U.S. And at first I tried to find a church to come like to go when I came to the U.S. Where when I was living in Philadelphia. Um, but I went there just for a couple of times. Then I was so easily tempted by all the desires and things from this world, not from God. I thought like people here are so good at enjoying their life, and they're so like the college kids or even like the grad school students. Um, they seem like happier than people from China. Like people are so focusing on studying and have so much stress. So then I try to hang out with them, mix with them, going to party, and everything has gradually changed. Um, so I stopped going to church after the first year in grad school. Um, and then later on, I rarely, I mean, maybe occasionally, but I don't remember very accurately. But I wasn't going to church for more than maybe 6 years. I was so focusing on my own study, on my desire for money, for job, for reputation, for power, anything this world wants us to have. I almost have all of them. um, yeah, but as the Bible said, like God loved us first, even when we were still sinners. So it was not me, seeking God, but it's God, like Himself seeking me. Uh, um, Let me see, like 4 years ago, when I was having my first job in New York City, but I didn't have a good time there. I I looked for a new job, and then it's the first time God brought me to Texas, Austin, Texas. That was also the first time I went to Texas after I came to the U.S. I had no friends there. I know nobody there. And at first I complained to God, like not God, but like at that time I was not faithful. I was just complaining to my family, to my friends, why I have to go to Texas. I want to stay in the Northeast Coast, Chicago, whatever. But that's it. Then it turns out like my new manager in Austin, he is a very faithful Christian. I wasn't know that when I was interviewing, but that's the beginning point. I feel like there's something in my life that's out of my control. And God somehow is in control. Although like my faith journey in Austin is not as smooth, like like as smooth as I was on the right track in God's way, but there's oscillations, there's like a back and forth, there's challenges, but until like last year, the beginning of last year, I met another guy. His name is Leo. So it's also funny, like we met in some party, like celebrate the Lunar New Year. But he told me that, so we, at first we were just friends, but like later on when we get to know better of each other, we realized both of us have faith. He used to have faith in Buddhism, but like he's a very spiritual guy. He later on has faith in Christian, in Jesus. He has amazing, stories. I heard of that. And at that time, I still have challenge. I have reluctance to, to accept my sin and to accept, some of my evil thoughts, they were evil. I thought like, why I could not do this or do that. But he just asked me to pray. That's just a simple word, pray. So I just did that. But I didn't think like too much of it. I just prayed when I was showering. So otherwise I was just singing, but my singing is not that good. So I'd rather pray. The magic thing happened really fast, maybe after 2 weeks to a month. There was some like thing like in my life I have been struggled for like 10 years or something. For really long I was trying to figure out, but I just couldn't. But this thing has been removed by God all of a sudden. Although it's like not completely removed, because there's a war against evil or thought like Satan for our entire life, but I can confirm that there's some fundamental or like significant change in my life towards that thing. Also, there's a chain effect, affecting all other aspects of my life. And starting from that time, I think the fire or the spiritual fire in my heart has been ignited, like, reignited, last year. So I started, going back to church and trying to hang out with my Christian friends in Austin more and more. And at that time, I also pray, God that, my job there, I also have some, difficulties or like issues, so that I want to explore new opportunities. And Seattle is also a magic city, I could never think of before, is that I've never been to Seattle before. Like, I came to US at 2012, and until 2022, I came to Seattle the first time, and the first time was only for a trip. And at that time, 3 of my most close friends, Christian friends, they all have relationship with Seattle. So 2 were born here, and 1 was studying in UW for 7 years. So Leo was the guy who studied in UW for 7 years. So I thought like there's some like very subtle, interesting connection between me and Seattle. And when I look for a job, I got an offer in Seattle as well. So I came to Seattle on April last year, but very fast I accepted an offer in Apple here in Seattle office in August. So in August, I came to Seattle the second time, and I settled down here. Yeah, looking back in the history of my faithful journey, I think, God did so many amazing things for me, but I didn't do anything for him. So it's all his bless, all his, grace on me. So then after I come to Seattle, I also keep praying to, find a good church that I'm willing to settle down, like to, contribute myself to, because now I think I need to do something for God as well. Although, it's not like God need it, but I think, my faith or my spiritual faith, want me to do that. That's how a real Christian would be. So yeah, and that also goes pretty well. I asked my friend, also like one of my favorite friends in Austin, Andrew. He is also coming to our church today. He was born here in Seattle. It's just like the President's Day long weekend. He's coming back to visit his family. So I invited him to my church. I asked him for a favor, to give me some recommendation for church here. That's how I found CBC. And that's also where I met Grace. And she brought me to this church. I know it's a long journey. It's not like a very straightforward way. It's a detour, but still, Ansem Church is exactly what I want to come, in that, it's a smaller church, which I want to get to know everyone. And it give me the feel that it's a big family, not like a big church as CBC or the old church when I was in Austin. It's like a large-scale church, like, a lot of people are coming. It's very popular, but it's really hard for you to get to know everyone. You just go there for Sunday service, hanging out with a few strangers, then next week it will be a new group of people again. So it's not a real connection. So Ansem is somehow, what I want to come. And I find like people here are also amazing. And also like Pastor Phil also, helped me a lot on a lot of, even like the challenges now I face with, I feel like it's, again, God's bless. God wants to provide me, what I need here in Seattle, especially, church, the faith-wise, yeah, and that's like, so my current, stage would be, try to figure out a way to serve the church or serve the people, try to improve or like make some progress in my faith journey. And, I'm looking forward in the future, like this church, could provide, not just me, also like, we as a family, a bunch of, opportunity to serve the society or like serve like a Seattle, Bellevue in general. Also, it doesn't say that I don't have any challenges. I don't have any things now. I still have, I know like myself, I have a lot of problems. Even some problems I think I fixed like earlier, but it may come back, occasionally. So I still need to be aware, be alert, and be praying, all the time. I think this is a lifelong, warfare, against the Satan. So yeah, I think, this church as a big family, we would like to, I hope like we could support each other. And, especially when we feel, challenge, we feel like difficulties, we fell down, we have people to pull us out of, Satan's trap. Yeah, that's pretty much my testimony for today. Thank you, guys.